Gear Patrol calls their new dive watch the best sub-$500 dive watch. Full stop. Men's Health rated them as the most stylish solar watch in the game. Who are we talking about? It's Movement. They're leveling up your gift giving with the sleekest watches you can buy and the biggest deals of the season. Shop 30 to 50% off Movement's innovative California clean watches, jewelry, and accessories with fast free shipping and returns now at mvmt.com. That's mvmt.com.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Potted Together podcast. I'm Nicole and I'm joined by my co-hosts Adam and Becca. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hello. Every single time there's just a brief pause.
That was a nice little intro. How are you guys doing?
You know, existing, still here.
Don't all talk at once. I feel like it's really good to see you guys because, as you guys know, we FaceTime while we're looking at each other. But I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a while because we took a break last week and we didn't record because it was Becca's birthdays.
Yeah. I think she just spilled some water on her couch because I just saw a face and then a sprint to get a paper towel. Oh,
No.
headphones.
Oh. She's ready.
Oh my god. No. This is not good. What you guys saw just now is me freaking out because I realized I was looking at my sound wave and I'm like, why does it look like that when I'm not talking? And I was like, this isn't right.
Oh.
So Adam, might be some feedback. Might have to mute me at the beginning there.
That's semi our fault for not
I
noticing
think
you
I
didn't
lost
have your
reception and
headphones
now you
on.
guys can't hear me.
No. Oh, we could hear you, but we can't see you. There you
she
are. You're
is.
back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Guess who's
Yeah.
back again.
Although when your
Okay.
video came back, you did look like that meme of that dog that's in like the burning building and it just says, "This is fine."
Oh,
Just like with the dead shark eyes and just like, "Great. This is life."
It's fine. Okay, yeah, I was looking at the sound waves and I was like, it's never looked like that before. What's going on? And then I realized I had made a fatal flaw because it doesn't look like you guys are wearing headphones, you know? So I just was like, I forgot that we did that.
yeah.
Gosh.
That's what we do.
You take 1
The
week off.
headphones.
Well, to be honest, you are 25 now, so the memory's just going to start going away.
Yeah. Get ready for that.
I'm 25. Let's talk about turning 25 because
Yes.
I've talked to a few people about this and they all said that 25 was like a really weird age for them. Like they realized at that point that like they were an adult, which is like such a strange, I think that's what happened to me. That's why it felt so strange because I was like, oh shit, like I am a grown up somehow, some way. I don't know. It was just weird. And like it came to the point also where I was like, I'm going to be a mom sooner than not as well. I'm not pregnant. This is not an announcement. But you know, it's like,
Damn it.
no.
Just kidding.
As much as my family would love that, it's not yet. But yeah, it was just like so weird. Like I'm past the point of like girlhood and I don't know. It just feels, I don't know how to explain it.
Oh,
It just
she's
feels
a
weird.
woman.
She's a woman.
I
have
mean-
been a woman since the age of 12, but
To be to be honest, the differences in your life from 24 to 25 have been drastic. You moved across country.
Yeah.
You have 2 fur babies. You own a house. So like
You got
It-
married.
it does-
Or did you get married when you were 23?
yeah, I was 23.
Oh, okay.
yeah, who's a better friend
Close
here?
enough.
But it does slap different. The 25 slaps different.
Wait, was I 23? I think I was 20.
Yeah, you were.
25 slaps different. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
It does.
You spent 24 in quarantine. You got married the year before that. Thank goodness.
That's right. Oh
You
my
dodged
gosh.
that bullet.
Okay, and you know what? I was thinking the other day that I almost was like, let's just wait until 2020 because it's an even number. And if you know me, I hate
Yeah.
odd numbers. I hate them. I will never have an odd number family. I don't work in odd numbers. It's always even numbers. And the only way that I was okay with my anniversary year being in an odd number was that the month and the date were even. January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah. So that's the only way that I was like, I'm going to let it slide just because of that. But other than that, it's not going to happen. So
yeah.
Just a little fun fact.
Oh gosh.
So 25. Go ahead.
I have a question. When you like walk upstairs, so I have, and I know that this can be considered in the category of an OCD, but I have this thing where I count when I walk up and down stairs. I don't know why. I do it. And I always want to like hit an even number before I get to my spot. So sometimes I even do like a little tiny shuffle, which sounds it sounds so neurotic, and I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but like sometimes I'll do a little feet shuffle because if I'm going up the stairs to get to a door, I'm like counting up the stairs and I was like, well, I can't open the door and take a step on an odd number.
See, odd numbers are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Are you guys sure you're not related? Like in any way?
Honestly,
you're positive of this.
We're very similar, Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are.
Okay. So 25 for me wasn't, I think it was 30. I think like turning 30 was the big like, wow, my 20s are gone, you know? Like it was this like this mourning of a decade, you know, as being like a young adult, and now it's like 30s. Even though I had a child and married into a bigger family before I turned 30, it was still this like, ugh, you know, like, wow, it's gone. But I spent my 30th birthday in Puerto Rico, so I think that softened the blow a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Just a smidge.
Yes, absolutely.
So what did you guys do? You guys went on a little mini-cation, just you and your husband, right?
Yeah, we went on a little vacation. It was the first time that we had traveled anywhere together since the pandemic. And that's crazy because we love traveling. I feel like our relationship is at its best when we're traveling. Like, I don't know what it is, but we just get along so well, which is such a gift because, like, I know people who didn't travel with their husband or their partner before they got married. And then they got married and they realized they're really bad at traveling together. And it's like,
that stinks.
Oh, God. Like, oh no. So yeah, we actually just drove down to Lake of the Ozarks. It's like an hour and 20 minutes away, which I told a few people we were going there and they're like, ew, why would you go there? Because it's apparently really gross in like the high season. Like you just see like a bunch of drunk white people,
really?
Like getting nuts. Like people were like, yeah, you see shit like floating in the water, like you just see things you wish you didn't have to see, and I'm like, what? Like, what does that mean?
There's like it's spring break time around there, kind of.
So spring break, yeah, that's right. So did you see anything you didn't want to see?
No, because it was still cold. So, okay, we actually asked, and like their quote unquote spring break is like Memorial Weekend. That's when it really picks up. So we won't be going for that. Daniel was actually kind of curious. He's like, I kind of like wonder what that's like. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I don't need to know.
I'm 25 now. I'm done with that shit.
I'm an adult.
Sorry that you're like 30 and you still want that. Like, I'm grown up. No, Daniel is 30. He's turning 31 in August, and he's been so helpful, like with the whole aging thing. He's like, yeah, I mean, you know, you just keep moving. It's okay. I was like, okay. But no, we went to the spa. That's why we went there, because I was looking for a spa in Missouri. You know what's so weird? Resort culture in Arizona is like such a thing. Have you noticed this, Adam, living there?
Yeah.
Like there's so many resorts and like really nice hotels that people go for the weekend. And
really?
I was, and like in Tucson too, there's lots of places like that, like the Ritz-Carlton, there's like Star Pass. I don't know, just like, and Phoenix has like more. What just happened?
Sorry. I had a nose hair that was like dangling and I had to pull it.
I wasn't even looking at you.
You know, when you're telling a story, you shouldn't be looking at me.
But I'm not going to look at myself. Okay.
I like brushed by it, and it was one of those situations where I had to take care of it or else it was going to bother me the rest of the day.
Okay.
Time to go back and get waxed.
Fair enough. Well, okay. So we picked this hotel because of the spa, and it was so hard to find like a good resort spa in Missouri, because I guess it's just not a thing to have that culture here. Like that might be like a cultural thing, I don't really know. Anyway, that's why we went there, and it was a great hotel, like very pretty. We didn't see really anybody while we were there, so we were just like walking around, and it was great. So got a massage, got a facial, and just freaking relaxed. It was nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So our definitions of facials are different.
He had
My
to go
mouth
there.
is open. See, Daniel made the same joke. Why are men so disgusting? Like, genuinely, what the hell? Like, Daniel was like, wait, you're getting what? And I'm like, a facial. He's like, well, I can help you. Like, I'm like,
Well, I can take care of that for you, Becky.
disgusting. Like, what the hell? Scum of the earth.
Oh, was it good though?
On that note, how was your
not the
week?
facial, but like, was all of it good?
Oh.
Like the resort, just hanging out and just taking the time without the pups.
Yeah.
It was nice. Oh yeah, we didn't bring the dogs. Daniel's coworker watched them, which was really sweet of him. And yeah, it was like kind of sad without them at first. And then I was like, wow, I don't have to worry about a dog stepping on my hair or taking them out potty. Like it was just nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I did miss them a lot. But
How
yeah,
long were you gone for? Just like 3 or 4 days, right?
2 days.
2 days. 2 whole days.
2 days. I haven't been apart from Cooper at all, though. And Leo,
Aw.
the only time I've ever been apart from Leo was when he was ripped away from me at the airport.
Yes.
Oh my
That was
gosh.
heartbreaking for all of us.
Truly, I had a breakdown. Like, I had a panic attack in the airport in front of the teller. It was so embarrassing. But that still didn't do anything, so I don't know. I was the girl who had a panic attack at the airport in front of a lot of people.
I would have too, for sure.
Yeah, he was my security blanket, you know? He was an emotional support animal, and they still said no. I'm like, listen,
Bullshit.
got the paper. No, I didn't have my papers at that point. After that, I registered him as an emotional support animal. And for good reason. I'm not going to pretend like he's a service animal. But then, a couple months later,
They cut it out.
cut
right?
it out. I'm like, damn it.
Oh, damn.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, I wanted to bring him on that trip because I was alone, you know, and he's helpful, going through a lot at the time.
Well, that's because people are bringing like pythons and peacocks on airplanes. You
Yeah.
know, that's what they're banning.
Honestly,
But,
that
like,
sounds
Leo
like
is.
that sounds like a wonderful band name. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Pythons and Peacocks.
Ooh, I like that.
Let's rethink our podcast name.
We'll start a rock band.
Pythons and peacocks. But like Leo is the definition of a support animal. Like you can literally have him in your lap the whole time. He's not this giant dog, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just crap that they're not allowing that anymore.
I know. And he was in a carrier too. I don't know. It was really strange, but hey. She told me like, you know, you could try to go on a different airline who doesn't care about animals and maybe they'll let him. And I was like, fuck you, bitch. Like, what? He flies in this carrier all the time. He's fine. It was literally the only time
Doesn't
we ever
care
had an
about
issue.
animals.
Yeah, Leo
my
is,
God.
and for anyone listening, like, listen, I'm not a person who has my unruly dog on the plane. I'm literally not. I wouldn't even take him out of the carrier. He sits in the carrier silently and he sleeps. Like, he's such a good dog.
Yeah.
So-
Seriously though.
Anyway, Adam, you're up next.
Yes.
How was your week?
You know, it's been one of those like weeks where like I feel fine and everything's fine, but then I'd like look at the piles of dishes, you know, stacking up and the piles of laundry stacking up and my plants all being thirsty. I'm like, maybe I'm not okay. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm okay, but then like you see that thing and you're like, okay, maybe mentally I'm not like fully okay. Like I think I am,
Yeah.
but so that's how my week's been. It's just been kind of blah. But yesterday I was like, damn it, I'm gonna go through all the plants on this shelf before I eat dinner, and you know, take care of them. And thankfully, because of Lekka, my plants can take a bit more of my abuse than they would have if they were like in soil. I guess I don't know. Maybe that's not true. That's how I feel. So I went through, and took care of a bunch of plants. And then it kind of like re-energized my love for them again, because I was like, a lot of the times they're all just sitting in the same spot, but when you pull them off that spot, then you kind of can see new growth and you can see like all the new things happening. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to in my stories on Instagram, I've been posting like just a bunch of plant pictures, which I haven't done in a while. So that's because I was trying to snap out of like ignoring them as long as I have. But you know, I'm okay. I'm fine. It's just,
Good.
you know, it goes in cycles, ebbs and flows.
For sure.
But yeah, we finished Game of Thrones last night.
Oh. What did
Yeah.
Steve think of the ending?
Okay, wait, you can't tell me what you think. Because I haven't seen it, and it's on my list of things to start watching.
Okay.
Like, I've heard so much about it.
Okay, but when Jon
Yeah.
Snow was killed, he was so upset.
Oh my god.
I'm kidding. That's not a thing. Or
Okay.
is it?
Or is it? Okay, without spoiling anything, what did he think? Because most people were
Okay.
disappointed. I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
common knowledge.
That's what I heard.
I was disappointed, but I will say that watching it through as fast as we did, you kind of are less disappointed about how it ends, because you kind of can see like we can't really talk about it, but if you've watched the show before and you know how it ends and you know that it was like a big disappointment. But I think when we had to wait like 2 years in between, we had to wait 1 year in between for most seasons, I think we fell more in love with the characters, because we were listening to their them as people, like giving interviews, and like we were falling in love with the actors, and we were also falling in love with the characters. But when you've watched it so quickly through, when you kind of binge it, you don't really get that. You don't really watch the interviews that they're giving for like press and that kind of stuff. So you don't have that. At least that's how I feel. I didn't have that emotional connection. So I think watching it through that fast changed my perception of the show. I will say the last episode is kind of boring, and he fell asleep for half of it. Like you know, like the big episode was the second to last episode, when like lots of stuff was happening, and then the last episode some big things happened, but it wasn't like super exciting. It was more of just like gloomy, and he for sure fell asleep. So
That's
maybe
so
that gives
funny.
you his opinion.
See, I love shows like that, except when there's like battle scenes. Like if there's a battle scene, I literally just fast forward. I'm like, I don't want to see these people get like torn up. Like I just want to know what happened at the end. Like I can't do it.
Oh really?
Yeah, I closed my eyes through like half a Braveheart.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know what it is, but like Daniel loves those battle scenes, but I'm watching Outlander, and like in the battle scenes, quite literally, I just fast forward until it looks like something important happens, and I'm like, okay, all right, fast forward.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Yeah.
It's so scary to know like that's how things were back then, you know?
I
would have never made
know.
it.
No. Well, no, you would adapt.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I asked Daniel if he thought, like, I was like, do you think that I'd be helpful in like the 1700s, like early settlers and, well, no. Pause. Never mind. Sorry. Let's just say 1700s, because that's a whole can of worms. Do you think that I would have been helpful in the early 1700s? And he goes, I don't know, maybe. I'm like, what do you mean? I know how to sew.
I think that you're
I know how to
exactly.
cook. I can do everything that women did back then. And I'm like, do you think that you would have been important? He's like, absolutely. I'm like, you stupid. You love yourself.
I can run fast.
I run
okay.
fast.
The thing is, yes, I do think we all would be, because we all are the type of people that like figure things out on our own. We learn. But back then we wouldn't have the internet at our fingertips, but
Ooh, scary.
True.
I do think we would have figured it out, but here's where my problems lie, is that I do not like eating things off of a bone. So I
You have to get over it,
for
right?
I know this.
sure
I
would
know
not have
this.
survived, because like I don't know. I've been trying to switch to more plant-based, cutting out meat,
Yeah.
wanting to get to that direction, because if I know where my food is coming from, I'm disgusted and appalled. So back in those days, you were a hunter and a gatherer. I would have been gathering
You
my
were.
ass off, but I would not have been hunting.
Yeah.
You could have just sliced the meat off the bone and cooked it off the bone.
Yeah, but like someone would have had to do that for me, and that just wasn't the thing back then, you know.
Right, true.
Like I can't
true.
see it. You know, sometimes when I'm eating
Yeah.
eggs, like there's halfway through the egg, I'm like realizing what I'm eating, and then I'm just absolutely disgusted, and I was like, I need to stop eating this. Why am I eating this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can relate. I'm on the journey to go plant-based as well, and I've been trying to like cook vegan or vegetarian meals, and that just makes it so much easier because I feel like if I'm just like out on my own, I'm not getting the proper nutrients and I just feel like crap, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it's hard though, but I haven't had red meat in a really long time. Well, really long time, like maybe like 2 months.
Steve found these like fajita strips that are by this company called Corn. I think it's Qorn, Corn,
Yeah.
or Quorn. They are
I buy it for
so
Tia.
good. I mean, we had fajitas with it, and it was like, and I think it's vegan.
Yeah.
And it was delicious. And I was like, look, I can eat this like all day, every day. Like it
Yeah.
had texture, it had flavor. So
So it's fake
Yeah.
chicken?
it's fake like steak.
I think it's soy based, right?
Yeah. That's
Or I know the
another thing
chicken
is like
is.
trying to avoid soy in
Yeah.
vegetarianism and vegan because like, I don't know. My boobs are already
Yeah,
getting
it's
big
hard.
enough. I don't need them to get any bigger.
Yeah, you need to be careful with that.
Soy makes your boobs bigger?
Well, it's like, isn't there like some, I don't know. I know that you have to be careful with your intake of soy,
Yeah.
especially when it comes around like hormones or like reproductive. I don't know. I haven't done
It'll
enough
turn your
research to
children
really.
gay. My mom had all the soy when I was being born.
Well, there you go.
Disclaimer,
There you
that was a
go.
joke. I don't
Yes.
really know the effects of soy, but I think I read passively one where so that it like creates, especially in men, it like is increasing the estrogen levels and it could grow man
Okay.
boobs or something. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, maybe. I haven't done enough
Incredible.
research to really know, but I just know that you should, all things in moderation, but you should avoid it excessively.
Yeah.
But I was a pescatarian. I think that's what they're called when you just eat fish and like vegetable based. And I did it for 9 months, and I don't even know why I went off of it. I think I walked into Buffalo Wild Wings one day and was just like, give me all the chicken. But I think that I can do that again. And I've been thinking about it because, you know, our daughter, I think I brought this up before, Tia's a vegetarian. And she's hitting her 2-year mark, and she's only 15. She started when
Wow.
she was 13. Yeah. And she just made the conscious decision to become a vegetarian. And she's reaching her 2-year mark. So I'm thinking about it. And corn is one of the things that we buy for her. Also, oh man, what's the name of it now? It's going to bug me. I'm going to have to look it up. But there's another one that she loves, and it's the chicken nuggets. And I don't think they're very high in soy.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. I saw an influencer buy these. You buy them in the mail?
No, they're in the grocery store.
Oh, never mind.
Is it Morning Star? I think it's Morning Star, but maybe
Yeah,
I'm
Morning
wrong
Star
about the
has
soy
like
thing.
some vegan things. Yeah.
Yeah. But though, I mean, like, fake chicken nuggets to me is fine. Like, they got the texture down, they got like the breading down, like it's good. Like, you slab some barbecue sauce on those things and you're good to go. The ground meat though, like ground crumbles, that's where it's kind of like, ugh, like the corn is pretty good. I've tried that one's pretty good, but like they usually don't master that. Like with fake burgers or like,
Oh yeah.
you know.
It's
kinda hard to get
the
that
only thing
texture
from
right.
corn that I've tried is those strips, the steak
The
strips,
strips.
and they were
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try those.
Also, just thinking about Tia, like if I was 13, because that's probably when she started, a 13-year-old that was like, I'm going to be a vegetarian or vegan. My parents have been like, then you're cooking your own damn food because I'm not doing anything
Yeah.
special for you. And I was just
I was
like,
thinking that too.
but then also on my part, I would feel guilty like trying to like impose my, not impose, but like I would feel like I would be imposing on is that the right word? I would feel guilty because I'd be like, oh, I don't want you to have to change things for me. But then,
Yeah.
but that's also a downfall of my personality. So I'm proud of Tia.
Well, when she told us that she wanted to, she was just like, I'll figure it out. Like, just buy me the stuff. I'll learn how to cook it. Whatever. I'll do it myself. So for the most part, like, she's pretty self-sufficient with her food. But I feel like she does need some more protein. But she loves beans and like she loves eggs. You know. So she's not vegan. She's vegetarian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
She's not vegan.
Like,
You're like, wait. So yeah, so I don't know, like, I guess my biggest thing is that if you're going into it with the intent of trying to help the environment, well, also your body, but like environmentally wise, I feel like cutting out red meat is the first thing everybody should do, just because of the what's that gas called that they fart out that's killing our ozone? Methane gas. But I mean, like, it's just like cows are just they're so damaging to this, you know, like, I don't know, like, that's, so I'm thinking like I'm gonna cut out red meat eventually, like once I get my life in order and we're settled where we're gonna go. I've been thinking about that, just like cutting out red meat and starting there, and then maybe slowly go back to pescatarian, because I cannot give up fish. Like, I love fish. Yeah, and I feel like that would be my main source of protein.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing right now. I haven't had red meat, but I have had like salmon. So when we went to a restaurant, there was like the surf and turf, and I wanted surf and turf, but I was like, can you switch out the steak for a salmon? And he's like, oh yeah, no problem. And I had that, and it was perfect. Mm-hmm. Like,
ooh,
so good. I felt so good after I ate it. Like, I didn't feel heavy.
So it was a surf and surf.
It was a surf and surf, like surf and scuba dive.
Okay,
Nicole, how's your week been?
Yeah, speaking of scuba diving, I actually wanted to talk about this. So I started watching, actually I just finished it last night. It's called Deep Dive Expedition. It's on Discovery Plus. Do you guys have Discovery Plus?
No.
No, but I got Paramount Plus, which I think Discovery is part of, or National Geographic is part of.
I think they both are, maybe.
Do you remember back in the day when we just needed to have Hulu? And
for
now
real.
Every single service was like, okay, well, now we're doing our own and pulling everything from everywhere.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, there's really no need to have cable anymore, for sure. But it's this show, if you can find it and watch it, it's called Deep Dive Expedition. It's this guy, his name's Victor something, and he's like multi-million-dollar man, and he's explored like he's been to like the toppest peaks in the world, and like he's explored space, and he wanted to get to like the deepest parts of all 5 oceans. So it's like a 5-part episode. It's really cool. Like, they found new species down there, and like he literally hit the bottom of every point of the deepest ocean, and like they experienced some problems along the way. I had anxiety through the whole damn thing, but it was so good. It was such a good show. So if you're looking for something like that and you like ocean exploring type documentaries, like Deadliest Catch is another one that I love too.
The ocean scares the shit out of me.
It scares me too, but I think that's why I like watching other people on it or in it, because I mean, I would never. I get so claustrophobic thinking of him just getting into that submarine. This submarine, he built it himself. Well, he had a team, obviously, but it was like a $35 million submarine. And no one's ever been that deep. And the pressure down there is so incredibly crazy that, like,
ugh.
Oh yeah, my anxiety was through the roof for the whole thing, but it was a very interesting like docu-series. So if you're looking for something good to watch and you like stuff like that, that's a good one. Deep dive. But yeah, I mean, I've kind of had a week where I've just kind of been playing catch up a little bit. Like, I'm relating with you with your plants and neglecting your plants. I've definitely been neglecting them since I got back from Arizona. So on Monday, I put out a video, which I recorded literally the day before, of me just kind of going through like every plant, checking roots, doing flushes on my leca plants and watering everything. And now like I'm looking at them like, okay, like I know what's dying, if one has a pest or not, which I found mealies on a couple Hoya again. Still haven't completely battled that. Yeah, I'm becoming one with them. Like, I'm like accepting that they're just, maybe you're here to stay. I don't know, but they're definitely one of the pests that I don't mind as much, for sure. But I think I nipped it. But yeah, so like just kind of taking care of my plants that day was really, my mom helped me too, and it still took me like 4.5 hours to go through all of my plants. Like, we took a little break in the middle, like to eat, but it was so long, and it was kind of nice. It was like a therapy day, like just doing mindless watering and plant care, you know?
Yes, those days are
nice. Really nice. Yeah, when you don't have anything else to do but that. And that's pretty it. I don't have a lot to update on.
Cool.
But anyway.
Cool.
So let's get into today's episode after talking for 30 minutes. I love our catch-ups. They're fun.
Me too.
Okay, what are we talking about today?
I hate mustard. We're talking about moving plants.
And you hate mustard?
Ketchups.
Where did that go? It's like, where the hell did...
My brain is...
Becca's looking at you like...
Don't do it like that.
We're talking about moving plants outside for the growing season, which is upon us in America.
It really is. If you're in the United States, we're in spring, and
Northern Hemisphere in general.
Right. I feel like now is the time where I would start moving plants out. But being in Chicago, we're still going to have some days in April where it's going to get down to like the mid 30s. So I'm a little worried about it. But typically when I move plants outside, I usually like to have the nights no lower than like 45 degrees at night. And it could be whatever during the day. I mean, plants are fine outside in Chicago all summer. But we're not quite there yet. I moved some of my cactus and like euphorbia and stuff outside that my mom brought from Arizona, where she just left them out all winter pretty much, and they did fine. But yeah, I haven't really gotten there yet, but I'm excited about it because I'm just excited to get some of these out. They always grow so great through the summer, and they're always so much happier out there. So I love bringing my plants out. Have you guys, well, it's like 100 degrees in Phoenix now, isn't it, Adam?
Yeah, we
oh my God.
We hit the 100-degree mark already.
I cannot believe that.
Yeah.
Oh, I miss it. Enjoy it for me.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know if I'm going to have much input for this video, because we all know that I was like, oh my gosh, move your ficus outside, they'll love it. And then like literally the next week they were all burned and dead. So my routine of moving plants outside is basically like, can you hang? And if you can't hang, too bad. Like, this is your fate. And if you can, good on you, kind of thing.
Well, I'm glad that we're talking about this, because I actually had a question for you. Like, do you keep most of your cactus and stuff pretty much all outside, right? Like, you all year, like you don't have those inside?
Yeah, I moved a few, like the booby cactus I moved inside just because I was like, I'd rather like not lose this one. But the majority of the cactus I just have outside, and they've stayed out there all year. And I don't, they always tell you to kind of like water if you haven't gotten any rain, but they're under a patio so they don't get rain. So like water maybe through the winter, I watered maybe like once a month. Some of them, and they're all still doing well. They're all waking up. Yeah.
But also like they're in planters, like they're potted in planters and not the landscape. So I feel like, because when my mom was out there, I would just tell her, you know, like, just make sure you water it thoroughly and just make sure it's drying out, and then you should be fine, you know? Because like her landscape, I think that they had like the watering system scheduled to go on like every couple of days, even if there was rain in the forecast, but it was like a drip system, you know? Right. So they just took up whatever they wanted. But yeah, I was curious about that. But you don't bring anything else out there, right? Like you leave your Hoya and everything inside.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I take like my house plants like Hoya and that is if I'm doing a project where I'm like cleaning them or something. But yeah, no, I don't. Those all stay inside. I haven't gotten the guts enough to. I mean, the heat alone just like kind of damages them, regardless
Yeah.
if they're in direct sun or not. So
Yeah, because it gets so hot. I'm kind of curious to how this year is going to go because this is my first full summer with like a good chunk of my plants in leca, and we don't have a covered patio. So like I really can't bring those plants outside because in Chicago in the Midwest period, it rains so much and they would just fill up and drown. So it's going to be interesting to see like what I can and can't do and maybe explore the options of like a greenhouse or something in my backyard at the new place. But
yeah.
what about you, Becca? Like you bring stuff. Are you starting to bring stuff out yet?
I brought all my cactus outside because it's been above freezing for a while, and I don't think that it'll go back below freezing, although it's getting close, which makes me very sad because it was so warm last week, and then now we're back in like the 50s.
Isn't it crazy how the temperatures fluctuate like night and day in the Midwest? It's nuts.
Like I'm being teased like big time. Like there's a big old pair of tits on the sun, and she's shaking them, and then she goes, "Oh nope," and it goes behind the cloud.
Oh my gosh,
That
that's
is
the best
literally
visual.
my life.
That was so funny.
Shake it
Nope, you
off?
can't
Ooh.
touch. So yeah, that's not good. But I did put my cactus out. They will probably be out there until winter happens again, because in Arizona I left them out there all year long because they are freeze tolerant. Well, they are tolerant until freeze. So
Right.
when you think about cactus who live out in the desert, it does get 2 or even below freezing sometimes, and they're fine. So it has rained a lot in the last couple of days, and I've been letting them get the water because they have not gotten water basically since October. So I'm just kind of letting that happen. And my soil is so good that I know it's not going to rot. Fingers crossed here.
Yes.
So, yeah, that happened. And then I think in May, I will bring out houseplants once I have a covered situation, because we are wanting to get like a covered, I keep wanting to say pergola, but it's not a pergola. It's just like a cover. What are those things called?
Like a screen cover, or are you actually going to build
Patio?
like something?
Yeah, like a covered patio. Like it's just this thing that you put up. I was about to say gorgonzola. That's cheese.
I mean, you can definitely have a pergola, but the pergola, the roof is not just like a solid. It's like hatched or like squares where
Yeah.
it could be open.
Wait, are you talking about a gazebo?
Yes.
Okay, you said gorgonzola, and I was like, that's pretty close to gazebo.
Yes, a gazebo. We were looking into buying a gazebo for our patio. So if I can find one, I'll probably put plants out underneath that. And I'll work with my ficus to get them into full sun, because I always do that. So yeah, that's my plans right now. And also we are going to be building a greenhouse from a greenhouse kit.
Yay!
So I don't even know if I'll need to have houseplants on the patio. I might just do like florals and stuff like that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
That
But I
brings up a
normally
good...
do.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I normally do put out like majority of my houseplants outside on my patio. If you remember my old patio, it was like so little, but I packed it. So, yeah.
I was going to say that brings up a good point of when you talked about acclimating your ficus into full sun, because this will kind of, I think this is an important part of transitioning plants outside, but I have zero experience with this. So I'm going to leave that up to you two, but I think we should talk about, how you each transition.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, for the most part, when I brought my ficus, ruby red, is that what it is? The one with the red leaves? Yeah, when I brought that out, I had that on my front porch, which didn't really get any sun at all. Like, it was in a spot that, because we have these huge trees in our front yard at my house now, and it was blocked by shade. So I never really introduced it to full sun. But when I brought my fiddly fig out there, I think this last summer. I think it was last summer. a couple of my leaves burnt off, and I had it in a spot that was like kind of shaded, and I would only bring it into the sun in the morning because the morning light's just so much softer than the evening light, and it still ended up burning the leaves. So I don't know if I have mastered that or figured that out. I clearly haven't. But
Yeah, it's kind of hard. It's like a little dance you have to do, and I think you just have to be really careful. And also just knowing that, like, if it burns, try to catch it as soon as you can. But it's, like, low-key inevitable if it's getting any direct sun outside, because that sun is, like, way, way, way stronger than anything that it's receiving indoors, even in the brightest window. So it's just something to consider. Like, you will probably get burn spots on your plants that you put outside if they're in direct sun, for sure. Unless you, like, put it out for 30 minutes, bring it back in, and then the next day you do 45 minutes. I mean, it's kind of a long process, isn't it? So if you're kind of looking for a little bit easier of a time, just if you have a covered patio that gets full shade all the time, opt for that instead than, like, over having them in full sun, because these plants, even in their natural environment, are not full sun plants. Other than ficus and, like, some, like, Monstera deliciosa, when it's, like, super mature, will maybe reach to the top of the canopy, but usually not. So they don't even like full sun, most of our houseplants. So you wouldn't want to put them in a place where they would be getting full sun unless it's a ficus, and that's when you have taken the time to really acclimate it well, or count your losses with leaf burn. So just shade, full shade all the time for houseplants.
Which I think is important to talk about, because I feel like as a new plant parent, people would think, oh, you know, obviously plants need light, and they love really bright light. But, you know, if you don't know really where your plants come from, or you don't know, like, how the rainforest works and, like, what is under the canopy and what's not, you're going to think putting your plants in full sun is what you're supposed to do, because we're always pushing, like, to put your plants in the brightest window, like, look for that really, really good light, and put grow lights over your plants that are, like, a couple inches above your leaves, and they'll love it. And it's this misconception of bringing your plants outside for the summer. Like you said, you definitely don't want them in full sun. I've burned some Monstera deliciosa leaves in my day, and she was not happy with me. But for the most part, last year when I brought my houseplants outside, we have a pretty big patio table, and we have a big umbrella, and I would just leave that umbrella up all the time. Like, obviously when we were expecting rain, I would put it down, but usually with rain comes clouds and there's no sun anyway. So they pretty much got shade a good chunk of the summer, unless it was my cactus, and my cactus were in full sun. But even with some euphorbia, you have to be careful, because if you've had your euphorbia inside all year and then you're going to bring them out and throw them into full sun, they're going to burn too. They'll get burn spots on them.
Right. And somebody messaged me and told me that, like, hey, make sure that you have these in shade at first. And I was like, it's cloudy like every single day. If I was in Tucson, it would be different. But it's cloudy literally every single day. So there's no direct sun hitting it. And so by the time the direct sun actually comes, they might be acclimated to the bright light by then. I don't know. But if they get burnt, they got burnt. I'm not going to be, like, super picky about it, because it's a plant at the end of the day. And these things are going to happen, and it'll learn. It'll adapt.
It's all experimental.
Yeah. And that's with cactus. Again, cactus, not calathea or Hoya or whatever else. You know, just be really careful.
Yeah. I found that my Hoya loved being outside.
Really?
Like, just because our humidity is so high, because we're so close to Lake Michigan. Even in Missouri, I feel like you're going to experience that. If you're not already with all this rain we've been having this week, like, the humidity levels are going to be insane.
Yeah, it's been like 80%.
So, yeah, it's crazy. But I feel like that's probably why in Arizona, like, it's hard to have all of, like, your leafy plants outside, just because it's so dry.
Yeah. I have toyed with putting Hoya out at nighttime, my flowering Hoya, to see if I can get pollinators to pollinate them, because I have tried many times, because I feel like I've been blessed with Hoya blooms. So I've tried
Yeah.
many times to like try to pollinate them myself, and it's just not an easy process. And I was like, these bugs in nature do this. And obviously Hoyas develop a stronger scent with their flowers at nighttime, and I think that is because they're pollinated by moths and that kind of stuff. So I have toyed with the idea of like overnight leaving a flowering Hoya outside, and I might try that coming soon just to see if I could get like a seed pod, because that would just be so much fun.
That would be a cool experiment. Like if you set up like a GoPro or something like
a
outside
camera?
and you can see the moths. That'd be really cool.
Night cam.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But
Do you
yeah,
ever-
so what?
Have you ever had Hoya milk?
No.
What?
Can I get a Hoya?
They make a sweet nectar. Have you ever tried it?
Oh, from the flowers?
Have you ever suckled on the teat of your Hoya?
I have
Of
licked
your
the Hoya's.
Hoya?
I have licked the Hoya sap. And I've also licked the philodendron sap too. But when you said milk, it made me think about when you cut Hoya, they kind of excrete that like milky, and that's like toxic. So I was like,
I'm trying
no,
to poison you.
You can't. You can't
Wait.
eat that.
Is it safe to lick the sap off your philodendron though?
Oh yeah, it's the extra floral nectaries which philodendrons produce. Which, by the way, this is not talked about enough in my opinion, because when I first had philodendrons, and they started doing these extra floral nectaries, I was concerned because I googled
Yeah.
I googled like, sap on my philodendron, and
pretty sure-
every single article was like, you have pests, mealybugs. Yeah, and I was like, but there's no pests on here.
Yeah.
And then, I posted on my stories, and this was a long time ago, in the beginning of my plant journey, and someone way smarter than me was like, it's extra floral nectaries. So then I looked those up, and sure enough, like it's a thing the plant produces to draw pests to it, like ants that will take care of bad pests. So it's like a sugary sap that encourages like ants and such to come and like feed on it, but also while they're there, like if there's any other bad pests, then they'll kill those too.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that I messaged you frantically one day about this.
Yeah.
Because like what was it?
It tastes really good though. It's
don't
very
know.
sugary. It's like a little.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
mean, my-
sugar.
And my Billietier leaf is like, 20 inches long,
sappy?
and I can just like lick the entire leaf, like right.
Maybe we should record video, because the looks on your faces at some of these points in our conversations are freaking hilarious, and the world needs to see them. The world needs to see them. Well, yeah, so I feel like in the summertime, with being in Chicago or the Midwest, I don't know if it rains as much as it does anywhere else in the United States as it does here, because I've been here my whole life, so I can't compare it to anything.
Yeah.
But I do fertilize way more in the summer months because it rains so much. Like spring and summer, I feel like I'm fertilizing more than I obviously usually do, just because it rains so much. So like the plants are constantly getting flushed out more
Yeah.
frequently than they would if I would water them like myself, being outside. So do you feel like you fertilize more than you would if you left your plants inside? And you think we should be doing that?
I think it depends on like how quickly the plant is growing, because that will tell you like how much nutrients they're using. Personally, listen, I don't have a good track record of like being good at fertilizing. So I would say in a perfect world, yes, likely, because they are going to be putting out more growth, right? That's what I think. But I wouldn't say that I fertilized more, mostly because I just didn't think to. Like I just
Okay.
it wasn't even on my radar.
I feel like it would also depend on the type of fertilizer you're using, because, like Becca, you're using that Tank's organic powder for fertilizer that you just so it kind of integrates with the soil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're using like a liquid fertilizer, I feel like that. I mean, again, not an expert here, but it just feels like that would flush out. Like, the soil will
Yeah.
absorb moisture, but I feel like if it's constantly being extra moisturized or whatever, it's just going to keep like pushing
Right.
that out. You know, it's not going to be like, oh, well, this water has nutrients, so I'm going to retain this, and this one doesn't, so I'm going to, you know, let this one
Yeah.
go out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like this might be a good question for our friend Gretchen that we had on the other day, because I, like, you know, the little green pellet fertilizers that you usually find in nursery pots, like at greenhouses or nurseries. I feel like they use those specifically for that reason, because they're constantly watering their plants.
Yeah.
So maybe those break down a little bit slower.
Yeah, that's why they're called a slow release fertilizer, Nicole.
Okay. Okay. Listen,
No, I'm
sweetie.
kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding. But
No, but you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
So let's talk about plants that like would do really well outside and plants that wouldn't, I guess.
Okay.
So would do really well. Ficus.
Yeah.
I was hoping that you guys would say some.
Okay, so
Jump in
I'm
here.
gonna say Monstera, and I'm gonna say just the regular green form Monstera deliciosa, because there's actually some people who have Monsteras growing in their landscape here in Phoenix. That I've
Really?
seen.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah. Now, do they look like the most beautiful specimen in the world? No. They look like they've seen some shit, but they're still growing. But
Yeah.
I do think that like if you acclimate them, so I guess what I mean by that is like slowly introduce them to the environment, like little at a time, and you just keep increasing that. I think that they could do well in a shady area here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe not even in a shady area all over, because like in Chicago or anywhere where you have a lot of humidity, I mean, they grow like weeds in Florida too, and sometimes they're in full sun kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah.
California as well. I've seen them in landscapes in California too. Which that's a good. That's definitely a good plant to have outside. My Monstera always doubles in size. Like literally, I've chopped and propped it every fall since I've had it. After it being outside, I put it so close to my to the building next door from me. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I live next to this building that's just a huge freaking brick wall. Anyway, the aerial roots grew out and like attached itself to the wall last
the
summer.
Adansonii.
No. Oh yeah, that one too. But my Monstera deliciosa as well.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I am having a hard time deciding whether or not I want to bring my elbow outside. It's a baby, but I'm thinking that, because I think I'm going to need to repot it soon because it's up to like 3 leaves, and I'm just terrified to experiment with that. But I also want to, just to see like, you know, how well it does. Obviously keeping it in full shade, but I don't know. So stay tuned for that. I haven't decided yet.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
you know, the variegated forms of our plants need more light than the green forms because there's less chlorophyll photosynthesizing. So I think that if it was in like shade, it would be okay. But yours is also a very young one. So like part of me is like,
know.
well, maybe wait till next year. But if you have like
Yeah.
a guaranteed spot for full shade, yeah, why not?
Try it out.
I always get
yeah.
worried that like the variegated parts of my plants, like my Thai constellation, I've had browning on the variegated parts.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's what that's due to, you know, because you read up and people are like, well, it's due to heat, which I could see because when I was traveling here with my Thai constellation, it did get burned in the back of my car. And the parts that got burned were the white parts, like the white parts instantly browned. And so I was like, well, it's heat or your water situation. It's just like there's never a clear answer, but that's the only thing I'd maybe worry about with your elbow.
Yeah. It is still so tiny. I might wait.
Yeah. It is so cute.
I feel like I know I love it so much. It's so cute. I have another wet stick that's doing really well in my prop box. So I'll have to show that to you guys later. But I feel like another obviously cactus and euphorbia. Love it outside. I get most of my growth from my cactus in the summer months, being outside. But the grow lights are great too. They love the grow lights. Like that's kept them all alive all winter.
Alocasia and colocasia, like those
Yes,
elephant
those are
ears, they do really well outside. And
Yeah.
thaumatophyllums
Really well.
too, like the sellum, that
Yep.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
yeah. They have them in. I mean, it's a part of like landscaping out here in the summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same here, yeah. I'm going to plant some elephant ears and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're gonna get
caladiums. Oh my god, they're going to get huge, yeah. I'm super excited.
Caladium.
If you currently have a croton in your collection that you hate because it also hates you, move that little bee outside. I bet it'll be happy.
Yep.
Yeah,
There you
I had a croton that I got on like heavy discount at the store, and I kept it outside, and it was just in this gigantic planter, and I left it. I just let it die out there because it was way too big to bring into my house, but it like tripled in size.
That's
being
crazy.
outside. They love it out there.
Oh man. Any type of jungle cactus would do great, like the rickrack or the Cissus quadrangularis,
Yeah.
Ripsalis
Ripsalis.
paradoxa.
Ripsalis.
Those would do really well for sure. Those have always done really well for me outside. And like thinner leaf plants do okay. They just need so much more water. I think that's really the types of plants that wouldn't do well is like pothos. Personally, I would not put a pothos outside because it would get so
Yeah.
thirsty, and like snake plants would do good. Spider plants, in my experience, were so thirsty outside, but they were really happy, but so thirsty.
Yeah. I feel like Syngonium is another one that does well outside, but it is a thirstier plant. Like you have to be on top of that.
Yeah. And those in their natural habitat, they could grow like even like really anywhere because they're an invasive plant actually. So
Yeah.
they're super hardy
Yeah.
outside. It's just thirsty. Usually that's in places where it's like super humid or like really rainy.
Yep.
Yeah, like Indonesia.
My string of bananas goes ballistic outside, but my string of hearts, not so much. I tried it with one last summer, and
Yep.
like some cuttings of one, it wasn't happy out there.
Same.
But that also goes hand in hand with like string of bananas is more succulent than string of hearts, so they do better out there.
Yeah, I put a string of hearts outside, and that's it still is recovering from that. And I didn't bring it in when I should have. Like I noticed that it looked bad, and I was like, anyway. Like I didn't bring it back in when
Oh
I
my
should have.
gosh, yeah. Totally relate
So.
to that.
Yeah.
My variegated string of hearts, as I was doing my shelf cleaning plant care that I've been putting off for a long time, is still in soil. And it was such a beautiful plant. It was so lush. It had long, beautiful vines. And all of them are bare now. Like literally,
Oh no.
it all died. So I cut it back to basically the top of the pot because it has some pretty big tubers that are still healthy. So I'm hoping that it'll start growing again. But I did that with a couple plants yesterday. That variegated string of hearts, and then also my Albo Syngonium. I had one vine that was literally just like 5 feet tall, and so I just like cut it all the way back and started propagating every single node. I was just like, okay.
Is that what you posted on Instagram? A handful of nodes?
No, that was my
What plant was that?
Micans. That also.
Oh, that's
was-
right.
I-
That's right.
But my Micans I was ignoring because it got pest, and I was holding a grudge. We're better now. I mean, she's growing really well now, but I had to cut a lot of the vines off just because. And I had a lot of people reach out to me and they're like, you can do that with just those nodes without a leaf? And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's a wet stick propagation. And then someone said, very kindly, they weren't rude at all, but they were like, I knew you could do that with other plants. I just didn't know you would be able to do it with the Micans. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's just like any other philodendron. I mean,
Yeah.
any
Might
plant
take
has
a while.
Yeah.
it might take a while, and it probably is. It's a patience game, but if you have a healthy node, you can start a new plant regardless if there's like leaf material there or not.
Right.
Yeah. I guess I learned that not that long ago, like maybe about a year ago, because I always thought you needed a leaf to propagate too, but then I experimented with the wet sticks and I was like, this is so awesome.
Yeah.
Another really good plant for outside is Cebu blue. Those things grow like weeds.
Do they?
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, even though they're pothos,
Well,
they love being.
technically they're Epiprenum.
Pipernum.
Epiprenum.
Yeah, I guess.
Pothos.
Yeah. They, in the shade, love it outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine had a good time out there last summer.
Climbers. Oh, you
What
did.
else?
Ooh, that's fun.
It was a good time.
I really want to in my greenhouse put like a bunch of get like a bunch of really tall poles and attach plants to it at the bottom and see what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be so cool. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about that, about your greenhouse experiment.
It would be so good.
Oh my gosh, I'm just like picturing your plants like Little Nas X, just like twisting around that pole, just like, call me if you want me, call me in the morning.
Call me.
You put little
by
cowboy
your
hats on all of them.
Oh my god, they're like twerking on my lap instead
Oh,
of
yeah.
Satan's. By the way, great song. Like, I love it.
It's a bop. It's a bop.
It is an absolute bop. And I love that like there was so much unrest about it. I mean, I don't love that, but you know, like everyone was like, what? What is
Yeah.
this?
My favorite thing seeing is like,
It-
okay, you've been telling gays that they're going to go to hell their whole life, and then when they actually go there and show you like, haha, then you get mad about it. So it's like,
Exactly.
That
That's
whole
why
thing
I
was-
loved it. I was like, this is what you guys have been saying to them. Like,
yeah.
Right.
it's messed
So-
up.
What else? What other plants?
Oh, let's see. I would say Aglaonema would probably do fine.
Oh yeah.
Full
yeah.
shade.
Oh, yeah.
Full shade Aglaonema
Yeah,
would probably,
probably.
thrive. A thriving queen.
I mean, Becca touched on
Mm-hmm.
this, but snake plants, Sansevieria dracena, they all
Dracaena.
like they even are in the native landscaping here in Phoenix. Like they can handle
Right.
Yeah.
Full sun.
they can handle some stuff. And ZZ plants,
Yeah, they're pretty hardy.
ZZ plants as well, I think,
Yeah.
would be really good.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had my ZZ plant outside. Now that I think about it, it's just in my dark basement all of its life. So that would be a fun experiment to see like how it would do.
Yeah.
When I went to Tulum for my honeymoon, they actually had like walls of Sansevieria, Dracaena. Ugh. Anyway, they had like
Dracaena.
big walls of them, and they would even be in like the medians. And to trim them, they would literally just cut off the tips, and I'm like, this is heinous. Like I would see them just
Oh
like
my gosh.
trimmed like hedges over the top, and it was shocking. But yeah, that's what they
So
did.
it's just all these bunch of just flat Sansevieria tops?
Yeah.
Why?
I wish that I took a picture. But like when I was on my honeymoon, I was in a very tropical place, but at the same time I was like, I'm on my freaking honeymoon and I'm not taking pictures of plants. But I wish that I did now because there were
Yeah.
so many good ones. But yeah, like I saw that a lot actually. It was so weird.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. I bet a quick Google search will show it.
Yeah, probably. Flat top Sansevieria.
Gross. Blasphemy.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, I don't know, is that it? I was going to say, when I first started my plant journey, I remember someone saying the shadiest spot outside, so the spot outside that gets all the shade, is never hit with sun, is still brighter than the brightest spot that you could find for a plant in your house. And that's kind of
That's
stuck with me,
totally
because
true.
like sometimes if I put things outside, like cactus and stuff, and they're in full shade, like of under my patio,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, well, this isn't a good spot. But then I was like, but that's actually like a lot better than what they were getting inside.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
right.
Something that a lot of people ask me when I posted about putting my cactus outside is like, oh, aren't you worried that pests will come inside with them? So,
Oh, that's a good topic.
Nicole, maybe you have more experience with this because I never had that problem. And like also a
Yeah.
bunch of people were like, wouldn't like animals dig into the pots and like bury stuff in it and kill the
Yeah.
plant? I did not live in a place where that would happen at the time. Now I do, so I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had experience with both of those issues before, but mostly spiders and like centipedes will find their way into your potted plants. But I found that if you have them elevated, like up on a patio table, like I do most of the summer, instead of planters that are just sitting on the ground or like sitting on top of a bed of soil or whatever, it's not as easy for those insects to get into your plants. So the first summer I had my plants outside, what I did in the fall was I repotted most of them. One, they needed the repotting because they literally grew so much and they were due for a repotting. So I repotted them right before I brought them in, which is typically not the time people say to repot your plants, even though I just repot all year. I really don't listen to that. Usually people say to do it in the springtime, but our plants aren't growing over the summer or over the winter rather. So like, why would you repot? Anyway, that's another topic. But then, so I repotted, but then last fall when I brought them in, I usually bring my plants in like the first week of October, depending on freezing temps and like what that looks like, because it changes year to year. I did diatomaceous earth, so I just pretty much used that and just like watered thoroughly. I made sure I watered really thoroughly to just kind of like flush whatever was in there out. And I didn't experience anything, like I didn't see any dead insects at the top of my plants after a few weeks of bringing them in. So I feel like that worked as well instead of repotting. But I've heard people say to just water with like an insecticidal soap, and that could work too, like right before you bring them in. Yeah, there's a couple things you could do. But then as far as, wait, what was the other question you said? Insects and then...
Oh, animals digging.
Animals digging. That was a problem. So squirrels in the Midwest are evil little creatures. At least we have one squirrel in our yard that had literally for the past 2 years that have eaten my opuntia down to like the nubs. And I'm like, how is this enjoyable for you? It's got to be painful. Clearly it's not. So I kind of decided to just not put my opuntia out there this summer because I don't want to harm the squirrel, like, because there's things that people say that you could do to detour them, but they're still going to eat the dang thing. So I don't want to like, do any of that to like harm an animal. So I'm just going to not give him the option this summer. Or we're not going to be here so it's not even going to be an option. But as far as like pests digging in the planters, I haven't really had any of that happen. I was expecting it, but I haven't really had any of that happen. We have raccoons and skunk near our house, but they never bothered any of our potted house plants.
Okay.
Like ever before. So I don't know. I guess it depends on obviously the area you live in. You're in a much more wooded area than I live near. So I would just, be on the lookout for that and like see what happens. But I find that like elevating them, like I said, if they're not on the ground, I feel like that's a better option, especially with insects.
Yeah, right. And out here we have squirrels, possums, raccoons, skunks, deer, lots of birds, like pretty much everything now. Yeah. So for my garden beds, like this podcast episode is not about the garden, but for my garden beds, I am just being proactive in building a deer fence because I know for a fact that I'm building my garden like right next to their house because a bunch of them live out in the field. Well, they don't live in the field, but they sleep out there because we always see the grass flattened and stuff. So I'm not going to just give them an all you can eat buffet, like I have to fence it in. Which is annoying and more expensive, but it's got to be done.
And the rabbits too, like those will just.
And the rabbits,
they will just chomp through your whole garden.
And the moles.
Sorry, I cut out and I had to like exit the call, so I didn't really hear what you said, but we'll pretend that I did.
I was just talking about how we're gonna make a deer fence because like it's inevitable that deer are 100% gonna eat all of my crops.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So have you seen deer like out on your property?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we see their poop all the time too. Cooper actually rolled in deer poop the other day. It was awful. But yeah, we see them a lot.
Likes the poopy.
Koopy likes poopy. Yesterday, I got my vaccine yesterday, and I came home. My first dose. I'm 1 dose in. So is Nicole. So is Adam. And
we're all 1 dose in.
Yes. And wait, since we're all 1 dose in, we're soon to be 2 doses in. We should maybe plan something.
Yes.
Like maybe late summer.
100% agree with that.
Yep.
Thoughts? Okay, cool. Oh my gosh.
The audience needs to hold us to that.
Yeah, hold us accountable.
Keep reminding us.
But like I want to come to you because I want to see your house. Is that selfish?
I do too.
You guys, yes, you're absolutely invited here. I've got, again, 2 spare bedrooms, or you can sleep in the same room.
I gotta ride that 61-inch dick.
You got it. We're actually
Do
pulling
some
it out.
landscaping.
We're pulling it out for the first time this season, like this weekend. Pulling it out. Whipping it out. Wait, the other day. Wait, hold on.
Get your overalls out.
Speaking of poopy, let me just finish this thought before we get sidetracked. I came home from getting my first dose, and it was raining so hard, and like the dogs don't go out. They don't like going outside when it's raining. And I came in and I immediately smelt a poop, and I was like, "Koopy, you had a poopy." And I was looking around.
Had a poopy.
Yeah, I was looking around for it, and I found it, and I was like, "Ugh, gross." It looked like a human turd, just like sitting there, like so gross. It was huge. Like,
what are you feeding your dog?
Science diet. I don't know. Just they like it. I don't know, but yeah. But yes, we're bringing out the lawnmower, and I told Daniel, like, oh, why don't you just, because he was stressed, because he works, like, obviously full time, and then we have so much house stuff, and he's so upset about his hours, because he works, like, 9 to 5 now, and he's always worked, like, I don't know, like 6:30 to 3:30, or, you know, just, like, different hours. So he feels like he doesn't really have a day. And I was thinking about how restrictive 9 to 5 is, you know, because
it really is.
that's literally the full day. So
yeah.
Anyway, I was telling him, like, he could just try to mow part of the yard and then do the rest of it later, like, to, like, encourage. I don't know. I was just trying to make him feel better because I could tell he was stressed. He's like, no, that's stupid.
That's dumb.
I'm gonna leave you alone.
I mean, technically, it shouldn't matter too much since you guys are so far out of town, but I used to just mow my front yard in town because I was like, well, that's all the people are seeing. And then I would, like, get to the backyard when I could. But yeah, I kind of agree with Daniel. Like, it's not fun to just, like, I don't like leaving things half finished, but 9 to 5s are awful.
It's terrible. It's a terrible.
Who came up with that work schedule? It's like you wake up early, but you can only get so much done before you have to leave to go to work at 9.
You're right.
And then you come home at 5 and you eat dinner and it's dark.
Exactly.
You know?
That's the big problem.
It's a dumb schedule.
It's the worst. And it's good that it's staying light a little bit longer because he came home one day at, like, I don't know, like 5:30 or 6, and we were able to go outside and, like, clean up the yard for, like, an hour before it got dark. It just makes us, it, like, forces us to be more efficient. But yeah, it just sucks. It just really sucks.
All right. Well, what do you think? Did we cover everything?
I think we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did too. I thought this was a good episode to have, considering that people are starting to bring their plants outside for the summer. And I'm curious to know, or we're curious to know, if you're bringing your plants outside this summer. So head over to our Instagram post for this week and leave us a comment. Let us know what you're doing or what works for you.
Share your tips with us and all the people who are looking at those comments because, you know, we have a collective knowledge and it helps all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, very true. Very, very true. And again, every single time we do an outro, I'm like, the YouTube channel, we should do a collab video. We say this literally every week.
Definitely should. I think that we had a DM from someone very sweet. She's a great human being, and she was like, I miss your YouTube videos. I watched the last one. Do you have another one planned? So on that note, let's plan another collab video for sure.
Right after we get off the phone here, let's plan it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. We need to hold ourselves accountable here. So definitely go check out our YouTube channel, Potted Together. We have quite a few collabs up there. Some from the past, some from since we started the podcast, and we will have more, promise. pinky swear. And also be sure to follow us over on Potted Together on Instagram and individually at Not Dude, at Becca De La Plants. Wait, are you Becca De La Plants? I always forget.
Just De La Plants.
At De La Plants and at My Clean Leaves.
Perfect.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
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 Gear Patrol calls their new dive watch the best sub $500 dive watch. Full stop. Men's Health rated them as the most stylish solar watch in the game. Who are we talking about? It's Movement. They're leveling up your gift giving with the sleekest watches you can buy and the biggest deals of the season. From their innovative ceramic materials to sexy automatic divers, from ultra-thin dress watches to solar-powered statement pieces, and everything in between, Movement is making sure you're the good gifter this year for your family, your friends, or for yourself. And now you can take advantage of 30 to 50% off Movement's California clean watches, jewelry, and accessories to get them a gift they'll never forget. With fast, free shipping and returns and amazing bang for your buck, Movement makes for a relaxed shopping experience. And with one-size-fits-all watches, it's an easy, elegant gifting experience too. Shop 30 to 50% off now at mvmt.com. That's mvmt.com.